Everything looks normal. It's already changing.
Most people believe technology will shape the future, but something quieter is already rewriting everything. Not louder, not faster, just deeper and far more permanent. It's not innovation, it's not AI, it's not even capital, it's demographics. Because when populations shift, everything built on top of them must shift too. Right now, millions are aging out of the system. Quietly, gradually, but every single day, the structure of the workforce is changing. For decades, economies were built like pyramids, more young people at the bottom, fewer at the top, but that structure is beginning to collapse, and nothing was designed for what comes next. Fewer workers, more retirees, and a growing imbalance no system can ignore. Because when fewer people produce but more people depend, pressure doesn't disappear, it concentrates. And this is where everything changes. Because when generations shift, wealth doesn't stay still, it moves across entire systems. We are entering the largest wealth transfer in history. Trillions of dollars moving from one generation to the next. Not over centuries, but within decades.
But here's the truth no one wants to say. Not everyone will receive it. Some will inherit assets, others will inherit nothing.
And that is where the real divide begins. Not income, not effort, but access. Because in this new world, starting position matters more than ever. Some countries are aging fast, others are still young, some are shrinking, others are expanding, and that imbalance will reshape global power itself. Because capital follows opportunity, and opportunity follows people. Markets grow, where populations shrink, systems begin to strain. So the question is no longer, will the world change? It already is. The real question is, which side of this shift will you stand on? Inheritance was never designed to be fair. It doesn't reward effort, it doesn't measure potential. It simply follows bloodlines and reinforces where power already exists. Two people can run the exact same race with the exact same effort, but if one starts ahead, the outcome is already tilted. Because in this system, the starting line is everything. Most people focus on income, but income is temporary. Assets are what survive generations. And in a world of wealth transfer, wealth does not grow in straight lines. It compounds, quietly, relentlessly. So when assets are passed down, they don't just continue, they accelerate. One asset becomes two becomes 10 becomes systems that generate more on their own. And suddenly, wealth is no longer something you earn, it's something that works for you. But for those without assets, the rules are different. No compounding, no acceleration, only time, traded directly for survival. And time is the one resource you cannot scale. You can work longer, you can work harder, but you cannot multiply your hours. And that is the hidden ceiling. This is why real estate matters, because it captures value over time. And as generations transfer wealth, those who already own move further out of reach. For many, ownership is no longer a milestone. It's becoming a barrier. A line that once crossed builds wealth, but if missed, becomes harder to ever reach. This is no longer personal, it's global. Countries with younger populations move faster. Countries that age too quickly struggle to keep up. People follow opportunity, and capital follows people. So as demographics shift, power doesn't stay fixed. It moves across borders, across systems. So this is no longer just about understanding the system. It's about positioning within it. Because the shift is already happening, and the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to move. Wealth doesn't just transfer, it concentrates. Small pieces merge into larger systems, and over time, fewer hands control more of everything.
Because wealth is not isolated, it connects. Assets create networks, networks create influence, and influence creates even more access.
At the highest level, wealth is no longer about money, it's about access. Access to deals, access to information, access to opportunities most people never see. And the system itself was never neutral. It rewards ownership, it protects capital, and it quietly reinforces those already inside it. We were taught that effort leads to success, that if you work hard enough, you will rise. But the structure has changed, and the path is no longer equal. Some advantages are visible, most are not.
They exist in timing, in access, in what you inherit before you even begin.
And this creates something deeper, not just economic difference, but psychological distance, where one group feels momentum and another feels stuck. You work more, you try harder, you push further, but nothing seems to change. Because in a system like this, effort alone is no longer enough. The rules didn't disappear, they changed. Quietly, gradually, without announcement. And most people are still playing by the old ones. Reality moves faster than awareness. By the time people realize the shift, it's already ahead of them. And catching up becomes harder than starting early. Every system has a window, a moment where movement is still possible. But windows don't stay open, and once they close, they rarely reopen the same way. So this is no longer just about understanding, it's about timing. Because in a shifting system, when you move, matters just as much as where you move. Slowly, two different worlds begin to form, not separated by borders, but by access, by ownership, by position inside the system. In one world, people own assets. Their wealth grows, even when they do nothing, because the system is designed to reward what they already have. In the other world, people trade time, hour by hour, day by day, working harder just to maintain where they are. And the gap between them doesn't stay still. It widens, slowly at first, then faster, until it becomes almost impossible to cross. Most people believe they can still catch up, that with enough effort, they can close the gap. But the target is moving than they realize, and it's moving faster because wealth doesn't just grow, it accelerates. The more you have, the faster it expands, and over time, speed becomes the real advantage. Eventually, the system begins to lock in. Opportunities become gated, access becomes restricted, and moving between worlds becomes harder than ever. A new elite begins to form, not just defined by wealth but by control. Control over assets, control over systems, control over what comes next. And below them, the majority continues, working, adapting, trying to keep up, but always slightly behind the curve. And slowly, this new structure feels normal, not questioned, not challenged, just accepted as the way things are. But every system has a threshold, a point where change becomes irreversible, where the gap grows so wide it can no longer be closed. And when that point arrives, you don't choose your position anymore. It's already chosen for you,
By timing,
by where you stood before the shift was complete.
This isn't something happening around you. You are already inside it. Every decision, every path, every limitation you feel exists within this system.
And most people are following a script. Study, work, earn, repeat. A path designed for a world that no longer exists. By the time you feel the pressure, the shift is already ahead of you. Because systems don't change instantly, they drift. Then suddenly, they're somewhere else entirely. You can work harder, climb faster, push further. But if the ladder is leaning wrong, effort only takes you further away from where you need to be. The biggest cost is not failure, it's not seeing, because the opportunities that matter most are the ones that pass quietly and never come back.
The last illusion is believing you still have time, that you can wait, observe, decide later. But in a shifting system, waiting is a decision too.
There is always a moment, a small window where awareness becomes choice, where you either move or remain exactly where you are. From here, the paths separate completely. One leads to ownership, the other to permanent dependency, and the distance between them keeps growing. At a certain point, the gap is no longer a gap. It becomes a boundary, something you don't cross, something you live within. And this is the truth most people avoid. You were never competing equally. You were never playing the same game. Because once you see it, and once the system shifts, it doesn't reset. There is no going back, only forward from where you stand now. So the question is no longer,
Is this happening? Is happening?
it is. The real question is,
What will you
before the gap becomes permanent, at some point, the shift stops being a transition and becomes the structure itself. Not temporary, not reversible, just the way the world works now. And in that structure, where you stand matters. Not what you believe, not what you hope, but where you are positioned inside the system. Most decisions aren't loud. They don't feel dramatic. They happen quietly, in small moments that don't look important at the time. And sometimes, the path that changes everything is the one you almost ignore. Because it doesn't look urgent, it doesn't feel obvious, but it is. Because every moment you delay has a cost. Not always visible, not immediate, but over time it compounds against you. A small number of people will see this early. They will adjust, position themselves, and step into the side of the system that keeps expanding.
Most people will not. They will wait. They will hesitate. They will continue as if the system hasn't already changed.
And when the system fully locks, it doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't wait for you to catch up. It simply continues without you. So this is the real question. Not about the world, not about the system, but about you. Will you stay where the system places you? Or will you move before it decides for you? Because once this shift completes, there is no reset, no second starting line, no return to how things were, only the position you secured in time. Most people will hear this and do nothing. They will scroll, they will move on, and they will stay exactly where they are. The question is, will you?
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once the system shifts, you move in time.